Well, joining us now is Congressman Allen West of Florida, a member of the Republican Study Committee. Thank you for joining us, Congressman.
Thank you for having me, Patty Ann.
You heard Nancy Pelosi saying, look, if it's good for the country, basically who cares how we got there? What's your response to that?
Well, I think that former Speaker Pelosi is somewhat delusional, but also you have to remember that this is the person that said that we have to pass this bill in order to find out what is in this bill. So there has been a deception against the American people from the onset. It was supposed to be $940 billion. It is now $1.7 trillion. The president said that this was not a tax. Now we know that it is only constitutional because it is seen as a tax. And I find it very ironic that 236 years ago, when Thomas Jefferson was about to sit down and write the Declaration of Independence, one of the preeminent reasons was because of onerous taxation that was coming from King George III. This was a horrific decision that was made yesterday because basically it is granting unprecedented taxation authority to the federal government, and it really does boil down to behavior modification by way of taxation.
Yeah, and you've released a statement to that effect saying that Congress has been granted infinite taxation power. There are no longer any limits on what the federal government can tax its citizens to do. So there are people saying that that's an exaggeration, that it really doesn't set that kind of precedent.
I don't think that is an exaggeration, and legal precedent has been established so that the federal government can say, based upon their own ideological agenda of health care, that the American individual citizen must purchase a private sector commodity, and if they don't, they will be taxed. So if I were to go out and say that every person in the United States of America needs to go out and buy a 9mm Glock or else they will be taxed, I wonder how the people such as Nancy Pelosi on the other side of the aisle would react to that. But that really is the precedent has been established.
Yeah, and that is the question that a lot of people are asking now. Exactly how far could this go? Your statement continuing, this is a sad day for America. Individual sovereignty has been defeated. What recourse does the public have for those who are against this ruling?
Well, I think the greatest recourse that the public has is that this is a republic, and it is still based upon individuals' rights and freedoms and the democratic process. So come November, understanding that the only way that this Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act can be taken off the rolls, that means that you cannot have the same person in the White House nor this administration. And I think that that's exactly what you will see happening.
So setting aside the wider implications, you say that this law specifically will hit the middle class especially hard, as hundreds of thousands of jobs will be lost as businesses try to avoid the penalties and costs created by the law. Explain that?
Well, if you look at the employer mandates, you will, and when I go down and talk to a lot of small business owners, they're going to be dropping people off of their health insurance because of the rise of insurance premiums. We have already seen that. There's a mandate within the Affordable Care Act that says that when you go over 50 employees, you have to provide a certain level or else you'll be fined, and so you'll see that happening. And the private sector will not be able to compensate for these rises in insurance premiums, especially when you have these small profit margins. And so you will see more Americans being put on the unemployment rolls. You will see more Americans being forced toward government-backed insurance, which means that there'll be higher taxation. So this really is not going to work very well. And as well, when you're telling the American people that if you don't purchase, you will be taxed, that's going to affect a lot of families right now that are struggling in this economy.
All right, Congressman Allen West of Florida, thank you so much for joining us.